Welcome to our exclusive webinar on why Portugal and why are UAE residents planning on the long-term game for Portugal Golden Visa 2022. My name is Afsana Rahim Lakhani, signing in from Lisboa. I'm the moderator for today's evening. We at the Lakhani Group invest in real estate and our service-focused family office dedicated in embracing values, bringing shared health for the beneficiaries. Before we dive into the webinar, let me do a quick temperature check. We will request you to turn your audio and video off always. Kindly keep your phones on silent mode to get the most out of this webinar. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type in the Zoom chat. We'll have the time for the question towards the end. Let us start with our webinar by welcoming our four amazing speakers. The first panelist is Francisco Castelbranco Prospero, who is a lawyer and a partner for PAC Ore da Cunha in Lisboa, Portugal. He graduated in law by the Faculty of Law of Universidade Catholic Portuguesa, postgraduate degree by Institute of Economic, Financial, Tax Law of the Faculty of Law of the University of Lisboa. He worked as a lawyer in the law firm, then founded PSTM Advocados. Currently part of Pact Ore da Cunha, he has focused in his professional practice in tax law, corporate law, and foreign investment, and has recently participated as a speaker in several international conferences dedicated to international asset management. Welcome, Mr. Francisco. The forum is all yours.
Thank you very much, Afsana, for the introduction. Let me first thank the Lakhani Group for organizing this webinar and for inviting me to participate in it. Also thank everyone that is listening, and especially to Azin Roshan and Andre Goncalves that are also panelists here. Well, just to give you a little bit of information about our law firm. This law firm has started 15 years ago and has entered into a merger with another law office in 2015, and now we are around 30 lawyers working in several areas of business. In my case, especially, I work with foreign investment as a tax advisor, and also as assisting foreign investors to invest in Portugal. Also, and we also have a team here that specialized in assisting the Golden Visa applicants doing their investments and during the process of obtaining the Golden Visa. We started working with the Golden Visa more or less since 2013, and since then we have submitted hundreds of applications for Golden Visa, especially through real estate investments, but also through other types of investments and as fund investments and through the transfer only of money. And others that we will mention forward. Chaim, if you could pass to the first slide. So,
are you able to see the screen here, Dr. Francisco?
I just see a landscape.
Sorry, my apologies. There it is.
Okay, thank you. So this is the team that is specially dedicated to the Golden Visa, to assisting the Golden Visa applicants. We have Afonso that is my partner and works with me with assisting foreign investors. Afonso works more with structuring collective undertakings, and my team, my part of the team works with the tax advising. We have also here Marley and some of the people that assist the Golden Visa applicants. That Marley is a specialist. She works for more than 7 years now, only with the Golden Visa, and she has acquired a lot of experience on it. My presentation through my presentation, I expect to give you a brief on the procedure to get the Portuguese Golden Visa, and also to give you an idea of the eligible investments and the process of obtaining the Golden Visa, and the governmental fees that are required to pay for the Golden Visa. So, first of all, what is important that to know is that the Golden Visa is a residence permit. So it allows the applicant to live in Portugal and stay in Portugal as long as the applicant wishes. And it is mainly dependent on one requirement, that is making an eligible investment. Of course, there are other requirements, of course, but this is the main one. So this is a residence permit that is given based on the actual investment in Portugal. So, and what are the benefits that the Golden Visa gives to the applicants? So, of course, the person that holds a Golden Visa doesn't need a visa to enter in Portugal, and he is allowed to live and to work in Portugal and stay in Portugal for as much as he wishes. But there is a special characteristic of this resident permit, that the minimum requirement of stay in Portugal is of only 7 days per year. So the applicant or the holder of the residence permit only needs to stay in Portugal for 7 years and for 7 days per year. So so this person can live in another country, but he holds a residence permit in Portugal. Okay, so what this also gives the applicant or the holder of the residence permit a visa exemption for traveling within the Schengen area. It allows the applicant to extend his residence permit to the members of the family, including the children and the parents, and also the spouse, of course. So the only one investment, it's enough to give the residence permit, or this special residence permit, to all the members of the family. Okay. So, and in the end, at the end of 5 years of holding this residence permit, the applicant is also allowed to request for Portuguese citizenship. I mentioned 5 years because the law was updated or was changed, and it has changed from 6 to 5 years, but the services are still adapting to that change, and there are some need of updating the procedures to allow the 5 years to apply. But anyway, the applicant, after the 5 years of holding the residence permit, the Golden Visa, has the right to apply for Portuguese citizenship. And what are the eligible investments that are for the Golden Visa? So we have, first of all, the transfer of 1.5 million euros. That this is the mere transfer of money. So the only requirement is the transfer of 1.5 million euros to a bank account in Portuguese. You have also the creation of 10 jobs, that it's usually done through investment in a company that then invests, that hires these 10 jobs, these 10 people that creating those 10 jobs. We have also the purchase of real estate property with above 500,000 euros. Well, we have also this 500,000 euros can be reduced to 350 if the real estate is located in urban regeneration areas, or if the building has more than 30 years. So we also have the 500 euros transfers for investing in research activities conducted by public or private scientific research institutions. We also have the 250,000 euros for investing in artistic output or supporting the arts for restoration or refurbishment of national heritage. You can also, it is also eligible, the capital transfer of 500,000 for the acquisition of the unit shares of funds in Portugal that allocate the money to invest in Portuguese companies. And you also have the possibility of investing in companies in Portugal and creating of permanent working jobs. But mainly, I would like just to express that the main investments that were used by applicants to apply for the Golden Visa are real estate investments and investments in participation units of funds. Those are the main ones. There are also some investments that only or some Golden Visas that were accepted by the transfer of money into Portugal. But so these three are mainly, and the creation of 10 jobs, but these are the main ones. These are the main ones. Regarding the transfer of 500,000 euros, I must refer to a change in the law that only allows or that restricts the investment in real estate for habitational use in the metropolitan area of Lisbon and Oporto, and also in some coastal areas. So there is now a limitation on real estate that is destined for habitational use, not for commercial use. This is still possible to invest in Lisbon and Oporto with a minimum investment of 500,000 euros. But this is a change that was introduced or that is in force since the 1st of January 2022. So, and to give you an idea of the process for obtaining the Golden Visa, of course, if you're not in a country that has a waiver for the Schengen visa, you have to get the Schengen visa to come to Portugal. But this is in a specific moment. That is the moment that the applicant comes for the interview. That is the only moment then the applicant really needs to have a face-to-face interview at CEF here in Portugal. CEF, it's the immigration authority that approves the procedures. So this is not the first step. This is not the first step. So I would divide the process in two main steps. One is the investment step, and the second one is the actual application procedure that starts only after the investment is done. So the first step would start with alleging the investment that most suits the interests and the risk and the personality of the investor that mainly may choose of one of the investments that I've just mentioned. And of course, the second step in this step, the investment must also open a bank account, because there is a requirement that the money enters or comes from a foreign bank account into a Portuguese bank account, and then it may be used to make the investment. And in this stage, the applicant must also apply for a Portuguese tax number and of course gather the documentation that is needed to submit the application. Once the investment is made and completely concluded. For example, if you invest in real estate, if the applicant invests in real estate, it would be the public deed for the purchase or the signing of a promissory sale and purchase agreement that would have a down payment of at least 500,000 euros, or 350 if we are talking of refurbishment or investment in rehabilitation areas, and then after that, and once having the bank account, tax number, and all the documentation of criminal records and all that gathered, you submit the application for the Golden Visa. Then there is an initial analysis of the authorities of the documentation that is submitted, and after that analysis, an interview, a face-to-face interview, is scheduled to deliver all the originals and to make the biometrics for the issuance of the residence permit card. After that, there is a formal approval of the application, and afterwards the issuance of the residence permit card. So in the end, after all the procedure is done, what the applicant and the investor gets is a residence permit card that may be used to enter in Schengen area, enter in Portugal, and will be the title that allows him to live in Portugal if he wants. So this is so also at the same time, or afterwards, after the application for the main investment, there is the possibility of applying for the family reunification of the spouse and also of the children or the parents, if in case, but there is a requirement that need to be dependent, economically dependent from the main applicant. So, but it may be the procedure may be done simultaneously or just after the first application of the main applicant. After the residence permit is normally issued for 1 year. And it must have, the investor must make the first renewal after 1 year. Recently, it has been approved that this deadline of 1 year has been extended to 2 years, but I think this is just a temporary measure that the government introduced in order to reduce the effects, or in order to face the effects of the pandemic crisis that we all faced during the past 2 years. But we think that it will be done. The first renewal will be needed to be done in 1 year period. So mainly there are 2 renewals that the applicant has to make in order to have the 5 years of residence permit to apply for the Portuguese nationality. So I think this is an overview of the procedure. Of course, we can give you more details if you need, but just to finalize, I would like to give an idea of the costs that are involved in this procedure. So the investor, once the application is made, the investor has to pay 533 euros for the first analysis of the application, and in case of family reunification, this amount may be 84 years or 533 years. It depends, because in our experience, the authority is requesting us, or is requesting the family reunification applicant to pay only 84 years, but there was a period where we were asked, or the applicant was asked to pay 533 euros. That was the same as the main investment, but now it is 84. We don't know if there will be any change on this. And then after the application is formally approved, the investment has to make an additional payment of 5,325 euros to the authorities, and in all the renewals, in the two renewals, an additional payment of 2,663 euros. It must be done for each renewal. This amount is also applicable to the members of the family that apply for family reunification. So I think this is more or less an overview. I cannot extend myself because otherwise I would occupy too much time. And I know that there are some issues that will also be attended by the other applicants. So I think it's for now it's
Thank you so much, Mr. Francisco, for enlightening us about the Golden Visa process. I will request the attendees to post any questions they have on the chat box. While they are posting the questions, let me ask one question from myself. So what are your views on the new changes in effective over a month now about the Golden Visa, and how does it impact the investment to Golden Visa and venture capital fund?
Okay, so to point out the changes. So the changes were the transfer of money passed from 1 million euros to 1,500,000 euros. The investment in venture capital or in funds passed from 350 to 500 euros, and there were introduced restrictions regarding investment in real estate for habitational purposes in Lisbon and Oporto and coastal areas. So I think with these changes, the government wanted to introduce some or to make it a little bit harder to apply for this residence permit. But I think it's to give to align the investment in units of a fund with the investment of real estate, and also I think to attract more investment. I think it's one of the reasons. I don't. Of course, there was a run to apply for the Golden Visa in the end of last year, because of course there are some limitations. The application it's a little bit difficult, but there isn't in fact any change so I don't think that there will be considerable changes. Just this one, of course, it's a little bit more difficult. The investment needs to invest more money to make this investment. So other than that, I think that there are no considerable changes.
All right, amazing. Thank you so much. As you can see, there are a few more questions on the chat box. Maybe while the other panelists are presenting, you can respond on the chat box to Sahil. Thank you, Sahil, for asking questions. So now we are moving on to our another panelist, and let me share a few words about him. Our second panelist is Andre Goncalves, a part of Business Development Manager at Passport Legacy in Dubai, UAE. He has worked at several law firms as legal advisor, wherein he provided legal assistance to foreign clients and investors in Portugal, namely in matters related to real estate and corporate investments, legal assistance in immigration, and consulting in contracts and notary acts. Welcome to our webinar, Andre. We are pleased to have you. Thank you so much, Mr. Francisco.
No, thank you very much for the introduction, Afsana. Pleasure to see you again, Rahim. Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Francisco. As Afsana said, before joining Passport Legacy here in Dubai last year, I was a lawyer in Portugal for almost 7 years. I was working in a law firm doing the Golden Visa and real estate investments from 2015. I spent a brief period of time in a real estate developer as well, so I've been on both sides of the equation, both the retail and both the salesman. Just a brief word about Passport Legacy. We are a Swiss company. We are headquartered in Dubai, and we specialize in second citizenship and residency by investment. So what do we do? We offer all the, let's say, the usual suspects in terms of citizenship by investment, the Caribbean programs, the newcomers as well, such as Turkey, and the residency programs by investment in Europe, Portugal and Greece most prominently. And we are trying to boost with my presence here our offer in terms of Portuguese Golden Visa. The Portuguese Golden Visa itself is a unique proposition in terms of citizenship by and residency by investment, but for two reasons. It allows you a lot of flexibility in the choice of the investment, which is highly competitive, whereas the let's say the normal programs such as the ones that Raim is showing us here, Antigua, Dominica, and so on and so forth, offer you the possibility of investing in a real estate, but it has to be a government-approved real estate. Some of the other programs go along this line, that they allow the investor to choose ultimately what is the subject of the investment. If it's real estate, they can choose the real estate that they would like to pursue, and so on and so forth, such as in Turkey and in Greece. The other thing that sets Portugal apart is that while it is first and foremost a residency program, it can lead to citizenship, and this is the biggest ticket and our biggest sell point to people looking into second seats into these programs, because with a significant financial investment but little personal involvement, in the sense that it doesn't demand the person to relocate to Portugal or to spend several long times of period of time in Portugal. Ultimately, it can lead to citizenship according to the current regulations. So these two things combined make it a unique proposition. Whereas in terms of the Greek program, where it doesn't demand for residency purposes only, it doesn't demand that the applicant stays in Greece for any minimum period of time. It can only lead to citizenship by naturalization if the resident chooses to live 7 years full time in Greece. The program that comes the closest to Portugal is in terms of leading to European citizenship with this minimum involvement is Malta. But for those who know and those who are in the industry, everyone is aware that Malta is composed by a big chunk of donation to the government, of money that you cannot back, whereas in Portugal, the investment is yours at the end of the day. So the flexibility in terms of investment, plus the minimum stay requirements and the possibility of acquiring European Union citizenship are the things that get people through the door. What do I think that are I won't go into very fine detail on the Portuguese program, because Francisco here did a very nice job of outlining all the nooks and crannies and the amounts and all the processes, and I don't think that people would need a refresher on that. What I think that there are the challenges here for this year is that this flexibility that sets the program apart was a bit removed with the recent changes. I think this is the biggest challenge for all the service providers that orbitate the Golden Visa universe. How to adapt to this, because the program lives and dies by the investment. And what can an investor do? And if Until 31st December 2021, the answer was an investor can do almost anything. Now we have to be more careful with how we advise our clients and prospects and friends in the industry how to proceed. So when a client comes to us and asks us what can we do, the challenge now, and I think this is the easy answer would be venture capital funds, I would say, because it is very easy for an advisor, even for a lawyer to advise in this field. The funds are easily verifiable if they are eligible or not. It's a matter of doing 3 or 4 phone calls, checking the Portuguese equivalent of the Securities and Exchange website, and basically our verification is done. Then it's a matter of finding a fund that adjusts to the preferences of the clients. The challenges for the clients at the end of the day are more value driven or still want property, even with all the restrictions, and finding the credible offers and the credible developers and the reputed people that are in business that can advise in that front. And this is where I would say this is where the real challenge begins. This combined with the fact that the funds went up from 350 to 500, it will push more people that are more value driven or that have more tight budgets to still look into properties, and it will be our job to find them the suitable options that correspond to the client standards, and at least in this part of the world, the standards are quite high in terms of both offer, in terms of return on investment, so on and so forth. So I would say that this is what we will be facing in 2022. We will see. I don't anticipate, and people who are in Portugal might be of different opinion, that the legislation concerning citizenship and the citizenship by naturalization will change in the future. So I wouldn't say that this is a source of concern, and I think after these major changes in the program, I wouldn't say that there are many more changes coming in the horizon, but we'll have to see, especially in light of the recent reports by the European Union and the presses for changing this type of programs. I would be looking forward to hear. I saw a question here in the comment chat about the how long does it take, and this would be something that I would be interested from hearing from someone that is on the ground, such as Francisco. How is it going currently with the appointments and the traveling restrictions, if there are still any? How is this all being handled by the services, along with the change in the designation of the immigration office, changes in procedure and whatnot? What we anticipate and what can we advise in terms of timelines? This is something that I'm genuinely interested to hear as well.
Thank you so much.
To conclude, I started with the other programs because, from my experience, the clients, when they start considering this, they don't look to Portugal alone. They look into the bigger picture of things. Besides, regardless, as I am Portuguese and highly suspicious for saying this, I still think that Portugal is one of the best programs, and that is the top choice when it comes to residency by investment.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Andre, for highlighting different kinds of programs for various nationalities. We have a question I think you may be able to answer to Prudence, asking about how does this kind of investment program benefit the UAE residents as well as people who are Canadian citizens? So if you can discuss some benefits of Golden Visa for UAE residents and citizens of Canada.
I think that what we have seen, and what we have seen especially during the pandemic with the traveling restrictions, is that having visa-free access doesn't mean having access in every case and situation. The main difference here is that people that have visa-free access, such as US citizens, Canadian citizens, UAE citizens, they can travel to Europe in normal conditions visa-free, but the borders were closed to non-residents, meaning that having a residency in Europe can prove useful when these restrictions are in place. And after what we have seen from the past 2 years, that I would say that anything is possible at this time, that the unthinkable became everyday reality. So I would say that that this is something that should be considered. Besides, I would say that still the investment opportunities are good. You can it is for these citizens, if they wish to have a base in Europe, I think Portugal is a good choice. Good investment opportunities, and if chosen well, the residency can be almost a bonus. Let's say something that. Something to look forward to, even though that not the first necessity, because not for the ease of traveling, and it's something that you can keep for a small holiday in Portugal, 7 days every year. You might want to stay more. The food is amazing, the weather is amazing, people are amazing. So I wouldn't say that that's completely out of. And what do you know? After 5 or 6 years, you might like the country, you might. Like the people who might want to apply for a second or a third passport, if possible for you, in the case of Canadian and US citizens, and enjoy the benefits of the country. I would say that, in a nutshell, I think this is it. I think if we show the YouTube video of all Portugal with landscapes and whatnot, this would be enough. I wouldn't ever need to say anything.
Yes, I've made that choice and I don't regret it for sure. And yes, last question to you from the people who have some assumptions about the Portuguese Golden Visa program, which is being said to have blacklisted by OECD. Is that the case? And if you can share some views on that, please.
So there are certain countries that, due to lack of compliance with the tax treaties of the EU, especially with third countries, that they were blacklisted, most prominently Dominica and Vanuatu. So what does this mean? This means there are certain sanctions in place, mostly of financial nature, to try to bring these countries back into the fold, to make them co-adherent to these tax standards, and to make everything more transparent. This is what it means being blacklisted. I think the word for the practical effects of what it provokes is very strong, because these countries still have the visa-free access and whatnot. What these nationals suffer is from sanctions that are, most of them, financial or economical, such as some trouble to opening bank accounts and so on and so forth. Even though Portugal is not one of these countries, and in the recent study, I again refer to it by the European Union, the recent report on the CBI and RBI programs, Portugal is not one of that raises concern about the strictness of due diligence procedures and so on and so forth. So it's a program that is well reputed and that doesn't face this kind of issue. After all, this is a European Union country, and that sanctions would come into the European Union level. So yes, so that would be my answer. And just to make a clear, just a bit to add more contrast and more color, with the Portuguese program has not been subject to the kind of attention by the European Commission as, for instance, Cyprus and Malta. And for industry insiders, they know what I'm talking about. So there's quite a bit of difference there as well.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Andre. And now let's move our gaze towards another dynamic personality in the room, Mr. Azin Roshan, who is the founder of Black Concrete in Lisboa and Roshan Group in Dubai. He is ethnically Iranian, but born and raised in Dubai. Azin Roshan moved to Lisboa in 2018. With almost a decade of experience in Dubai and Northern Cyprus in the fields of banking, real estate, sales, interior design, fit-outs, and construction, he has successfully created a motivational environment and built a team of honest, hardworking international professions. We are proud to have Mr. Azim to our webinar. Over to you.
First of all, thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Afsan. It's a great pleasure to be here. I'd like to say hello to everybody, especially to our panelists. I'd like to start by saying, since I was born and raised in Dubai, I used to travel quite a lot. It's quite regular for us in the Middle East to run away from the heat, to enjoy different countries and see different cultures. I personally did try to move to several different countries within Europe to actually live, because by the end of the day, being born in Dubai doesn't make you a UAE citizen, unfortunately. My experience as to when I got to Portugal was quite life-changing. The people here, the weather here, the lifestyle here, everything is so attractive. Everything is so calm. The nature here is absolutely amazing. It just makes you feel like home. It's super safe. Everybody speaks English. I mean, the amount of plus points that I've found here is a lot. I can probably talk till tomorrow morning, but I'm sure I don't have that much time. My personal experience in terms of Golden Visa, since I've been dealing with mainly Iranians and the Middle East, is them investing in actually tangible investments such as properties. And you know, we have a pretty, you yourself have an absolutely amazing Golden Visa profit development into the fourth of value, which it is my absolute favorite. It offers a lot, and yeah. Hello.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Azim, for your presentation. And it's time to open the forum for some questions. So in brief, I would like to ask few questions before the audience get that opportunity. So can you share something about like how the real estate developer works like in Portugal? What are the opportunities that you foresee in this industry?
Well, basically, you know, since I've moved here, the economy here has been growing. It's becoming a pretty interesting international hub, whereas you get a lot of international people moving here, a lot of people from all around the world coming here as well. My experience has been beautiful. I see the property market growing day by day. Demand is increasing every day. It just has been a wonderful experience, and I'm very happy that I'm here, and I'm planning to stay as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And can the Golden Visa program, do you think, is applicable to have remotely, or like, you know, does the person has to come in person to do it, as far as your experience is considered?
Well, I believe Mr. Francisco here could answer better. However, I believe if you give power of attorney to a registered lawyer, they would be able to do everything on your behalf except the biometrics, of course.
All right.
Yes, it's true. So everything can be done remotely with no need with a power of attorney. Or sometimes we've faced investors that are not very keen to sign powers of attorney, and even in those cases we managed to do it remotely, of course, for the exception of the face-to-face interview with the authorities. All
right. Thank you, Mr. Francisco, for highlighting that point. Thank you for coming in. And also, lastly, as compared to Dubai, how are property prices and rentability in Lisbon, if you are aware, Mr. Azim?
Well, basically, compared to Dubai, I do have a little, I'm a little traumatized about Dubai, unfortunately. You know, people were purchasing things that were unfortunately not always being delivered. However, some were, or they were being basically purchasing things that were being delivered a little differently. I'd like to bring my attention, everybody's attention to your project, which is Quinta do Porto Velho. It's an absolutely amazing project. Having the construction background, I've seen about 80% of the project being completed up to an amazing standard, to be quite frank. The finishes that you've been using is quite beautiful. I mean, the fact that you can actually buy a serviced villa in that price in Europe with all those facilities and amenities like it, tennis court, restaurant, pharmacy, swimming pool, so on and so forth. And I believe this is just the phase one. It is a very, very, very reasonable price.
Amazing. So as you recommend this project, especially in Lisbon, thank you so much for highlighting the services about the Quinta do Porto Velho. Now let me thank you so much, Mr. Azim, and let me move on.
Sorry. Can I just point out one more thing as well?
Sure,
the
sure.
Payment plan that you're offering is insane. I mean, the fact that you just have to pay 25% now and the rest on delivery on a project that is about 80% done. It is wow. Good job to you guys. Well done.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Azim. And yes, finally moving on to our next and final panelist, Rahim Lakhani, to discuss more about the newly launched 7X Fund, the team's track record and its investment strategy. So Mr. Rahim Lakhani is proud to present 25 million euro venture capital fund named as 7X Portugal Fund, which is a golden visa immigration and investment solution managed by the Lakhani Group Capital SCR. He's the president and CEO of the Lakhani Group and also a seasoned real estate investor that owns and operates a multi-million-dollar portfolio of properties in Portugal, Canada, USA, and India. He also has a graduate degree in engineering from University of Waterloo from Canada and a postgraduate degree in real estate financing, taxation, and investment from Institute of Lisboa University. He has worked extensively in European, American, Canadian, and Southeast Asian markets. He currently invests in market of distressed assets and restructuring of companies in advanced operational stages. Now, without further ado, we'll turn the time over to Mr. Rahim Lakhani.
Thank you so much, Afsana, for the kind introduction. I think we have the experts here, so the audience is pretty much now waiting with the bag of money and asking where do they go, how do they go, and I think this next segment is really the answer, and we will go through that. But before I dive into that, one of the most important things that several of our panelists actually alluded to is the team itself. So I'd like to introduce our team, the management team here at the Lakhani Group. And so it's myself as the president and CEO of the operations, Afsana here, who's moderating as the vice president of sales, Zima as the VP on compliance, and Karim, my brother-in-law, who's the VP on accounts. So this is a family company and bounded by great rules, great family-rooted values, an amazing journey that we've actually come literally from all over the continent, all over the globe, I should say. So I'm a Canadian. Afsana here is coming from Mumbai, India. Karim and Azima have been in the Americas for the very long time. So we are truly bringing an international experience to the investors, and also dealing with several international investors. So we definitely know the mindset of people, and with the help of the panelists here, I think we're going to shake up in a much better way and service our clients in a very sophisticated but simplistic way as well. So not to forget, on the 7X Investment Fund, what makes us even prouder is our supervisory board, which has a combined over 100 years of experience, I should say, which from the backgrounds of legal, from the backgrounds of accounting, from auditing. So we are truly proud to not only have ourselves give to the fund, but also have these gentlemen who provides and essentially helps the investor and keeps the keeps the management board in check. So this is the first safety net that you have when you make that investment into 7X for your Golden Visa. Further to that, we are also very, very happy to introduce you to 3 of our investment advisory board, which again stands as the backbone of the 7X fund. One of them is actually from Dubai, one from London, and Abni, who is actually a local real estate developer here. So supervisory board check, management board check, and we also have a very strong investor advisory board. Again, probably another 100 years of experience here in the business, who's been advising and protecting the investors' interests. So we're truly fortunate, and truly that makes up for that extremely strong team that is there to guide and navigate the 25 million euro venture capital fund. The 4 pictures that you see are central locations in and around Lisboa. This shows our personal investments in Saldania, in Marques Pombal, in Martin Moniz, and a student housing building in Oeiras, which is close to one of the largest universities in Portugal, called Nova SBE. So this kind of highlights the fact that although the fund may be the first fund that we have launched, we have already a significant amount of expertise in owning and managing both for short-term and long-term plays. And so this kind of pictures are there to impress upon you. Totally available for a detailed report on any of our assets, for you to get comfortable on the style of management that we have, and how we actually maximize and produce great returns for our investors as well. So many people have asked, what is 7X, and can you allude to what it means? So the number 7 really for us means that we are going to be here to work for our investors 7 days a week. So when your money is into the fund, rest assured you should know that that money is being put to a great investment. That arrow represents that growth, that represents that direction in which we are always keeping and moving forward with the best in mind and best in innovations. And the X simply stands for the professionalism that we have in our company, in the leadership, in the management, and also in the innovation and adaptation. So simply, this is what we stand for, and this is what our goal and motto is for the company. Now, there are several funds out there that one can choose from. And of course, every fund has its own unique USP. However, several of you will ask, why should they invest with 7X? Why not some other fund? And so very simply, here are the reasons why. One of the biggest reasons that you should definitely go for 7X is that we do not have any complex performance-based structures. Several of the funds we have evaluated do have a bit of a complex structure in terms of how the management is being compensated, how the Class B shares are being compensated. So we take great pride in having a very simplistic way of making our investments. So this is basically the reason for investing in 7X. The second thing that also I highlight is the transparency that we bring to the investors. And the transparency essentially comes with being invited to the annual general meeting, coming with our doors open always at our office in Laranjairas, having the reports shared on a very frequent basis, access to reports through a login ID and password, and basically complete updates available on social media, but also on private meetings that we can have one-on-one with the investors. One of the things that we take great pride in, especially with working with Dr. Francisco here, is the fast document processing that we have been now able to do with the simplification of processes. So when you are going for a Golden Visa, we really have a very simplistic way of making sure that your application to CEF reaches in a very, very reasonable time frame. So these are some of the reasons why I think you should definitely go for 7X. This is essentially just a link to for you to go and see where we are on the CMVM website, which is the Portuguese Securities Commission. So you know that we are an authorized entity. I'll also very simply mention that the fund is not a real estate fund. It is a venture capital fund, which means it can have relationships and investments in several different ways. It can own 100% of a company, it can be a majority stakeholder, it can be a minority stakeholder, or it could purely just have a joint venture partnership for a profitability or a yield or based on a loan perspective. So there could be many different ways where 7X could actually enter into an agreement with the developer and or an operator of a particular asset. Now, let's go on to where we will be investing the 25 million euro venture capital fund. And these are some of the assets. So the first asset being Quinta do Portugalio, which is a 36 villa unit serviced villa complex, about 10 minutes from Lisbon Airport, 10-12 minutes from the airport. It is a project that is 80% complete at the current moment, like Azim mentioned, and it is now scheduled for completion within the end of this year. And the villas will basically be fully furnished and operated for a very strong rentability. So or if you want to invest in the fund, you can do it through the fund. If you want a direct villa in your own name, you can do that as well. So these are two opportunities that we present to you so that you can actually really benefit of any which way that you want. Both investments, of course, are at a minimum of 500,000 euros. Okay. This is another asset that the fund will be investing in. It's currently off market and it's being under negotiation, which is a stable asset, stable operational asset, and of a 4-star luxury resort. So what we are trying to allude to here is your investments will not just go into projects like construction, but also stable projects that will have a potential for increasing of revenue rather than have no revenue in the first stages if it was under construction. Another asset that I'd like to showcase to you is which is a Algarve area luxury hotel. We are also another off-market property that we are currently negotiating. This particular property we are very much interested, so because of the fact that once we divide it up into individual rooms, it will also be eligible for the 280,000 Golden Visa. So this is also a future investment that we are considering. And finally, because of our expertise in the student housing market, we are looking at a ground up, brand new construction of a professionally managed student housing building very close to our existing building near Nova, which basically, if you had looked at the recent JLL report, you will notice that there is a huge demand for professionally run student housing and a very strong profitability that is scheduled because of the gap that we have in the market. Finally, like I mentioned, no complex structure. Here is our performance fee explained. So if you look on the left-hand side, on the liquidation year, which is currently scheduled to be the 7th year, the original investment will be dispersed, and then the remaining profit, let's call it X, which is then divided up into the 30 plus Y. What we are trying to say is that the investor will, over the 7-year period, have a 30% compound return first before any money floats to the asset managers, and then only anything that is remaining is a split between 70 and 30, of course, in the favor of the investor. So what we are trying to discuss here is that we always keep the investor's interest in mind. If we do not perform, we do not get paid. Very simple logic on that. And then finally, just as a summary, this is a minimum 7-year term. It could be extended to 10 years if in the 7th year we have cases like COVID or a down market, but this is completely we will have like an annual general meeting and we will present this to the investors and decide upon that. But the minimum is always 7. Our target rate for the fund on an annualized basis is 7% as well. And the management fee is 1% of AUM, always paid monthly. So we are an authorized venture capital fund of a target of 25 mil, which will close at the end of this year, at the end of July 2023, which is next year, July, or if it reaches 25 mil prior to that, which exactly is probably what will happen because of the number of investors that are currently being scheduled and are in the pipeline. And then finally, just to finish off, the exit of the fund is matched exactly with the exit of your European citizenship and passport. So the whole idea is on exit, you will have the funds and the profitability. So that's it from me, and back to you, Sam.
All right, thank you so much, Rahim, for highlighting about your fund. A few questions that we have from the attendees, as well as I want to ask you questions about what do you think the initial investors are looking for while they're investing in the venture capital fund? How do they navigate their options? What would you suggest?
Absolutely, and it's a very important question. I think the simple answer is the team, the experience and the credibility of the team. So when you research any other fund, this is what you should be looking for, is because essentially the real estate might be owned in your name. However, the fund units are not, fund units are in your name, but the fund itself and the management team has the final say on where the investments will go. So when you interview the management team, these are the questions that you need to ask: is their credibility and the market. We are also completely open to having scheduled an interview with one of our or two of our investors, so you can also learn from their journey into investing with us.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Rahim, for answering that question. Also, is there an exit strategy if an investor would want to leave the investment fund if the person no longer wants the Golden Visa? So is there an exit plan?
Absolutely. So as you can see on the screen, this is a 7-year fund. Now, let's say there might be issues on a personal side, the investor, and they would want to exit, prior to. Most funds do not retain liquidity in terms of, because it is deployed in hard assets and real estate assets, and they would probably not allow you to exit prematurely because that is a huge downturn. However, because we are a real estate developer ourselves, as well as an asset manager, we do hold a good liquidity share for purchasing either ourselves if required, or have investors lined up for the purchase of units. Of course, one must understand that if they exit prematurely, then their Golden Visa might be at stake. So this is something that they should know. But we are here to openly discuss if those situations do arise, and we're not going to shut things down, especially when there is personal issues that might be involved.
All right, thank you so much. And one last question that we have here is, can an investor invest in multiple funds at the same time?
Absolutely. So we have the limit of 500,000, as you know. You can split it up in 2 funds, let's say 250 and 250 each, so as to diversify it even further. You can totally do that. I highly recommend not to split it up into 5, even though our minimum is 100,000, essentially because it is a much complicated process, and I think it just creates a huge workload for Francisco's team. So I don't think they would appreciate it as much, but it is complicated when it comes to immigration also. So I think 2 is probably a very reasonable answer. What would you say, Dr. Francisco?
I would just say that yes, I confirm that it is possible, and the only thing is it gives us a little bit more work. It is a little bit more documents to gather, but it's completely possible. Of course it is.
Perfect.
Right. I think while Mr. Francisco is on the screen, we have another question associated to law. So I can ask you that. So what are the red flags when I'm choosing the lawyer firms offering Golden Visa services?
Sorry, Afsana, can you repeat that?
Yes, yes. So the question is, what are the red flags when I'm choosing the law firms to, that offers Golden Visa services?
Well, I don't know. I cannot give you a red flag. I just think that the safest way to choose a law firm or legal assistance to the Golden Visa procedure is to try and look for a law firm or someone that has already experience on submitting the applications. But to give you a red flag, I don't know. I cannot point one out.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, Mr. Francisco. And thank you so much, panelists and the attendees. So we have a poll on your screen, if you can see here. If you have any other question, you can have a consultation with us, and please WhatsApp to us, or we will share our email IDs. Maybe Rahim can project it on the screen for everyone to see our email ID and phone number for any further questions that we can have. We can see that there is a poll, and even I hope the panelists can also view the poll, and please vote as per the questions that we have here so that we can share results with you. So let's take 5 minutes to answer to the polls. Amazing. Thank you so much. I hope it was an insightful and educational webinar for everyone. Thank you, panelists and the attendees. Bye, ciao.